Hello everyone and welcome back to Speederman, who is totally not Peter Parker. I am Drunken Dan.
Yeah, I feel bad because we just kind of whizzed all over the game last episode.
I got held up.
We didn't even wait.
Nope. I just wanted to get out. I mean, the problem was, is I always sat there, I was like, that's a great joke, me.
Move it, Pete. Move.
I can't wait on that one.
Fucking hell.
I'll try to keep wizard memes down to the minimum for today, though. Don't want to kill it. Don't want to kill this joke too early.
Yeah, you don't want to be like Nostalgia Critic. Jeez.
I'm pretty sure he just killed his company.
Honestly, are they? I mean, he's gotta still make stuff.
I assume.
Like,
I mean,
now that like now that we're mentioning it, I'm just kind of like wondering.
I assume Larry's still making stuff.
Oh, Larry does.
I
I
mean,
follow him.
No, I just mean, I assume he's making stuff on the you know, the channel because you know.
On the channel, I'm not sure. I just know on YouTube he does because I follow him.
Well, he wouldn't quit. They'd have to fire him.
Well, yeah, because that's the whole gag. He wants to be the last man.
The last Larry standing.
One day it'll be Channel Larry.
One day.
One day.
And presumably, Cinema Snob is just never gonna abandon him because of all the drug abuse stuff.
Yeah. He's kind of a for lifer because of that.
Which, you know, fair.
Yeah, no, fair. I'm not gonna. Life is complicated, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Yes and no.
So I mean, I can understand like that situation. Doesn't mean I'm gonna give everything a pass, but you know.
Or give anything a pass, really.
Yeah.
Never forgive. Only God forgives, Dan.
I don't want to have to rescue you too.
Peter, don't be crazy. Wait for
So I was talking to you about it, but I started playing Remind, and I realized how much I fucking hate Kingdom Hearts Super Bosses. Not because they're like too difficult, because you know I'm grinding through them, but it's just I think on a pure design wise, and I've noticed this when I sort of went against the Riku replica data fight because fuck you, and it's just like wow, the screen is just full of shit.
I got you. Hang on.
I can't see what I'm doing, and I won that fight, and I still don't even know how I won the fight because I don't know what happened. There's just so much fucking effects and attacks and whatever on screen. It was literally impossible for me to know what I was doing, where anything was.
I remember I had that problem. Now what's funny is a lot of people say that the Sephiroth fight in 2 is easier than 1, but I remember I couldn't beat the 1 and 2 because half the time I didn't know what the fuck was going on and he just did so much damage, where in 1 I could easily like parry his attacks. And Sabo has joined us as we predicted mid-recording.
I mean, just in time as we're bitching about Kingdom Hearts bosses.
Yeah, we're talking about Kingdom Hearts difficult bosses and how they're not fun. Or particularly well.
Well, I hypothesize that it's just that there's just so much shit that's just on screen at any given point, and it's like it's just a grind fest. Is at the end of the day, or it's like yeah, eventually you'll get there, but there's like oh no, it's like part of the difficulty is also just there's just like the enemy is just like invincible for the majority of everything they do, and I also think it's kind of an issue because of how Kingdom Hearts like health bar and system works, in that it's kind of the health bar's sort of irrelevant because you know you can't ever be killed unless you don't have that one skill equipped. You know, you can't be killed in a one-hit combo, so it's just do you have enough time to cast Cure on yourself?
Right.
I don't know. It's just
so it makes the Kingdom Hearts boss, since Kingdom Hearts bosses do have like one-touch kills as if it was like a Marvel vs. Capcom game, and a lot of invincibility. The reason why they're not say as fun as say even like a Bloodborne boss, or even a Dark Souls boss. And I'm saying this as someone who I have very loudly said I don't really like Dark Souls, is that they don't break their own rules typically.
Pretty sure I still owe you a
by just giving like the boss like invincibility because fuck you.
Hey.
Yeah, there's no point from my sort of recent Return to
sorry I
Bloodborne
screwed
experience.
things up.
There's no point where a boss is technically invulnerable. It's just, or any of the bosses are
Hard being the one
invulnerable.
who
It's
always
just
gets saved, you know?
maybe attacking into
Sometimes
them when
I
they're
wonder if
mid-attack is a bad idea. You know?
I made you feel like you couldn't.
Right. And like a lot of times too in other games when they have a boss have periods of invincibility, they usually do something animation wise or even just like something as simple as like a color or something that, you know, signifies that right now you cannot touch them.
So I got one of.
And then, you know, they give you a very obvious tell that says like, yeah, you can start punching them right now.
MJ, Ms. Watson.
As I said,
And they don't really have that in Kingdom Hearts at all.
So I'm fairly certain most of it is just
The city is in danger.
like I don't think
Needs
there's
our
any
help.
sort of point in mid animations where, or there's any point you can actually be a Bloodborne boss is immortal like you do have in Kingdom Hearts bosses where it's like you just need to wait for like the free frames of where they stop attacking so that you can then attack them. Oh, you missed them. You missed those free frames. Also, another annoying thing, specifically about like Kingdom Hearts 3, I've realized
Chase down some
is you don't actually have like iframes off of coming out of form changes, which means before you actually can even control your character, you can die if you form change.
Yeah.
Kind of bullshit, I think.
Something that every other game, you know, has solved by giving you iframes.
Well, it's just the
Um,
fact that because
Honestly, what I'm gonna say, Kingdom Hearts, even to 3, its real-time combat is extremely dated. A lot of other action RPGs have moved way ahead of Kingdom Hearts in terms of what you can do and basic quality of life stuff that Kingdom Hearts has largely left mostly unchanged since like 2.
Come on, Sherlock.
But yeah, so I
I know
got
what you
halfway
got in
through
this
the
water
Remind stuff, which
mortgage
is
board.
basically Sora, you can go back in time again for a third time, but this time just to watch everything. Wow,
To
really?
watch what?
So do you know how the whole sort of framing device of how you get to redo all those, or how you get to do all of those fights that you couldn't do with those characters before goes?
What's that?
Basically, Sora's like, you gotta go rescue Kairi, which means you have to go travel back in time. But now it's just a heart that just sort of hangs around. So it's basically just, you just have to redo most of the finale again.
Leaving me tasks?
And then you'll be alive.
And it's like, fuck you. It's just down to redo that whole goddamn
These
finale,
mercenaries wouldn't happen to be your
Redo the whole
mercenaries,
thing
would
so
they?
that way you can have an ending.
including having to do that first round, having to watch through the first round of nothing happened. Is Sabo's mic dead or is he just not talking?
I think he's dead. Sabo?
Oh,
Well, yeah, it was.
that explains so much.
Is that better?
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. Now we
Okay,
can hear you.
Okay, and so that's why you weren't responding.
No, yeah, sorry. We weren't ignoring you.
Yeah, even I was like, at one point, I was like, why hasn't Sabo chimed in?
Yeah,
I
this is
figured by now
Kingdom
he would've
Hearts.
chimed
This is,
in.
this is the thing he loves
I'm like, I
complaining
was
about.
chiming in.
Fury, we need to start
Yeah,
tracking
you
the
love
vehicles.
complaining about
Still
Kingdom
no leads on
Hearts.
Octavius?
I love talking about how Kingdom Hearts 3 was not as good as it should have been.
How much it sucks.
But by the way, I'm actually curious because Train didn't really argue my hot take about the battle system. Do you agree or disagree with that?
About the invincibility frame thing?
I just meant that and also like in general that Kingdom Hearts hasn't really evolved where other action RPGs have evolved over years.
No, it's pretty much all about flash over substance at this point in 3.
Because it
most
feels
of
like
3
it
is
feels
balanced around this stupid ride gimmick.
because it feels like it hasn't really like evolved since 2.
2 is pretty much agreed to be the best version of the combat system.
But it's sandwiched in a game that is painfully easy as a result of it.
Yes.
I remember I beat Kingdom Hearts 2 in a weekend. I borrowed it from a friend of mine in high school, and I just beat it over the weekend. Mind you, I had a lot more free time back then, but still.
I mean,
I didn't like 100. I didn't 100%. Like, you know, this is going through the main story.
I think the
Oh, filthy
problem.
casual, you should have.
I think the main problem
No.
with Kingdom Hearts 1 was not tough, but it was more challenging, and there was this very sharp difficulty curve.
Well, also one of the things with that game, well, there was a sharp difficulty curve, especially once you get to like the fucking like last world.
Yeah.
But the other thing too was that that game did honestly a poor job at directing you of where to go. The first one, so a lot of time was taken up just being like, where the fuck am I going? Where am I? Who am I? What's going on? Where do I go? I'm still in Agrabah.
I mean, I will say the most worst offenders of that is Alice in Wonderland World.
Oh yeah, Alice in
World.
Wonderland, yeah. It was just more fun to say, why am I still in Agrabah?
Tarzan World.
You don't know the half.
Monstro.
The first couple
because
worlds.
Monstro is actually a fucking labyrinth.
Forensics is having a hell of a
Yeah.
And
That's the thing, is a lot of the,
Hollow
a lot of the worlds in the first game were just really a fucking nightmare to get through.
And then Hollow Bastion especially also has the Riku boss fight, which is, you know...
Yeah.
That took me
That
all day.
boss fight... That boss fight was even harder for me, because, I remember... I think you told me, because I remembered the options back in the day of what I picked before I did it. But I essentially, for the audience, accidentally put myself on hard mode.
Yep. What kind of pussy picks the shield? Oh, the smart people, actually.
It was... I picked shield, and I threw away the sword. Like a dumbass! And also my options that I selected also, punched me in the penis.
Well, I think the worst option you can actually do is pick sword for a shield, which is what I did.
Yes, I did. I picked sword through shield, and then, like, the options, I think, like, I put the option on that made me have slower progression.
Yeah.
The worst
And
option
I
you
think
can
there
do
was
is anything to do with magic, because all the bosses in Kingdom Hearts 1 are completely immune to magic, so you can't cheese it.
So I didn't understand the questions as a kid. So, like, I was answering it almost like a personality survey thing. I was just dicking around time because I didn't actually feel like doing this fucking isolate the pattern thing. But I remember, I think, like, this is back, like, when I first started talking to Train Man years ago, because I had them fresh in my memory at that time, what I selected, and I remember you going, ooh, no wonder you had such a hard time with Riku.
Yeah.
Because essentially, I was under-leveled, and my damage output was balls.
You don't have guard, or you only just got guard, and guard is,
Like, I was just learning how to use
real
it.
good for that fight, but...
Like, yeah, I had just gotten it, I think, or I might have had it for a little bit, but I was just learning how to use it by that point.
I think Zoldan is the boss that gave me the most actual trouble in Kingdom Hearts 2, which feels odd to say.
Actually, a lot of people had trouble with him for some reason.
Like, I didn't even have, like, I didn't have that much trouble. I'm the opposite of Dan in that I think Kingdom Hearts 2 Sephiroth is, like, way more manageable than Kingdom Hearts 1 Sephiroth. Kingdom Hearts 1 Sephiroth, it just felt like a perpetually, because basically you're immortal in Kingdom Hearts 1 after a certain point, because like, oh no, I've lost all my health, cure. Oh no, I've lost all my health, cure. Oh no, I've lost all my health, cure. And just sort
Yeah,
of,
he was, like, instantly killing me.
you can just,
There's
like,
no limit to, yeah, well, yeah, but it's because he was probably hitting you with his instant kill attack.
whereas Kingdom Hearts 2, it's like, everything he does, like, he throws out a lot of, like, shit, but everything he does is blockable except for Descend Heartless Angel, but that's pretty telegraphed, so if you know what you're doing, you just hit him in that, and then it's like, oh no, now what can I do?
Mind you, I haven't played it since that weekend I borrowed it,
Yeah.
so, you know, it could be different if I played it now.
You,
Like, one day I do want to replay those games, but
you hit him in the,
my desire to replay them isn't as great as my desire to play other games or replay other ones.
you just hit him in the face, and he's like, man, fuck you, I'm gonna go be Superman. And you're like, oh, okay then. So, I hope that's gonna be a case in FF7 remake. You hit me.
Oh, where you have to fight all of the Supermen in their treehouse?
I mean, hopefully, but... Man, I hope there's a league of Sephiroths now.
Chaos of the prison break would have been perfect.
There's no,
Promised
there's no,
That means one of them is going to be that guy from NSYNC.
there's no clouds around. We've checked.
Feel like I can't turn around without seeing his face.
No one's gonna get this joke
I
other than
know.
us.
I mean, that's most of our jokes.
It's fair.
I don't get most of our jokes. I just pretend to, and I make most of our jokes.
It's true. But yeah, I feel like Kingdom Hearts. While I do genuinely like Kingdom Hearts, so this is like, I have fun with it. The game, I feel, and I could, if my channel had more views, I could make a joke saying I could feel people wanting to close and strangle me. I don't feel like they are.
I mean,
as they're a little overrated, I think.
I'll say this, and I will. That most people who like Kingdom Hearts don't like Kingdom Hearts for the gameplay. They like it for the story. It's only real fucking.
Yeah, but
weirdo.
here's the problem: the story's not really that good either.
Yeah, but yeah, I know. I'm not saying that's not the case, but I don't think the
Auto-developed
picture
the
about
corrosive
gameplay is
debris
gonna
rhino
like get
from his
people,
suit.
apart from maybe Sam, to go,
Certain government agencies
"You're
spent years
making
trying
me
and
so
failing to do
mad."
that.
If you,
Well, just show it to Sam
if
so
you
he
tell
can get
people
mad
that
at me.
Shion sucks, though, that'll piss him off.
Shion's is barely existent as a character.
Shion does suck, though. We all can agree to this.
Shion doesn't have a
Recording
character.
messages for his crew.
I mean, her character is she's Kyrie, but with black hair, and also she makes Roxas more sad.
The world sees you as a worthless dullard.
Woo! That whole game could have been just never done.
I mean, it's almost like that game literally ends with, by the way, this was all pointless, except lol, not really, thanks Kingdom Hearts 3, fuck you.
It was there because people really wanted an organization game, but clearly the organization didn't really do anything all that interesting.
Well,
No.
they didn't, their entire plan.
So, yeah, you know what? Show this to Sam. Sam, directly at you. Shion's fucking sucks. Fight me.
Gargan,
I mean,
aka Scorpion, aka Crazy Pants
I'm not gonna
McCrazy.
do that, by the way.
I don't care if you don't.
Just like you didn't edit in Sarah Connor getting nuked.
Hey, I edited in The Wizard.
Yeah, you did.
Oh my god.
Lots of the Wizard.
For me to admit.
I
I showed,
edited in
I
The
showed that
Wizard
to so many
perfectly.
people, and they were just like, they're like, this is either funny or horrible. Who made this? And I was like, I did.
Demanding and
I was
What-
part of
what-
this.
I
Wait,
was,
what?
once
Oh, the wizard thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to send it. Oh, Trainman must have sent it to you.
Yeah, I did.
By the way, I told Trainman this. The crotch zoom in was an accident. It wasn't as smooth before. It was an accident in the editing booth, and I just thought it was funny. And then I just fixed it up a little bit and kept it.
So much Wizard.
I don't
Old man
usually
Bunch.
promote this podcast very much to my
Probably
friends
more than
because I don't
anyone
want to
else here.
end any friendships because we tend to trash things they like.
I trash men. No, I trash things they like. You just sit in the corner. Don't just.
It's true. He usually trashes things, and I just occasionally I trash something here and there,
I was
but
developing
but
an
mostly I'm
experimental
just like
treatment to save him.
I'm usually not as like. It's very rare I'm as like on Train Man level when it comes to trashing, unless it's like MCU Spider-Man. Then I'm like train level.
What bitter irony
Yes, I've
your
noticed.
miraculous wings should have
However,
once
I've
fallen
noticed
on your
lately
bodies.
people are starting to come around to what I've been saying for a couple years now, and are saying the same shit I did.
The treatment I've developed
Nice to
will
be
cure
right.
you.
I like how this keeps happening with me. Like Shenmue, I said for years wasn't good, and then people were like, "Wait a minute, Shenmue is not really good, is it?"
I think I did.
Sonic Adventure was one of those that happened too.
That's just Sonic games in a nutshell, isn't it? That's just Sonic games in general, though. I mean, I define my life as that like one.
I mean, I
clip.
disagree with you on that, but
Electro.
I
Total
mean,
live
I
wire,
just
that one.
I define myself by that one clip, which is why you booing me. I'm right.
Electro's big pipe dream is to become pure energy. Doc actually managed to modify his harness to get
actually,
a little closer to that
another
power.
one is a couple people. So like Mario Odyssey is all right, but I thought it was fun when I played through it, but like I don't think it's like I think it's kind of
Max, when you
To
first conveyed your dream
where like
to
I
me,
have
I
no
thought
desire
you
to ever
said
to really play it again, so I'm
pure
probably gonna end up
energy.
selling it. But apparently, a lot of other people are kind of some other people are having that realization. Not many, but some other people are kind of coming to that conclusion too.
I mean,
promise you, when we are done,
I don't know. I kind of feel like 3D Mario. I kind of feel like most sort of 3D Mario and doesn't really have like that sort of lasting appeal because there's a very sort of big difference in terms of playing 3D Mario versus playing 2D Mario. In the
I feel like the Galaxy games kind of hit it though, because I still really like those.
no, but I mean, in 2D Mario is that something you can put on and just play because you basically just
What's
go
this now?
because you can just like more or less play from the start. Whereas like 3D Mario, because there's always that sense of progression. It's like it feels like a bigger it feels like you need to invest more time into it in order to
Must be a
get
way to
that
get that
in order to get
lamp on.
more out of 3D Mario, just because there is that idea of progression in all these other areas, whereas like regular Mario, it's like, yeah, you just play for 5 minutes and you beat the whole game.
There we go.
I don't know.
I mean, yeah, we did. We did Mario 3 just like in like 2 recordings of us just bullshitting.
Yeah.
I mean, I used the rewind thing because I was just like, fuck it.
You didn't really beat the game then, did you, Dan?
He's trying to take apart
Not according to Mike Matei.
So okay,
I mean, I've beaten it before without it.
It's okay, Mike Matei. You don't even really have a YouTube channel, do you?
Seems like the last
Technically, no, it's James's.
Yeah.
assault on Oscorp.
Anyway, well,
So he's not a real YouTuber now.
Anyway, let's not fight with people who are not only like who are so far above like YouTubers who are so far above us, and they're not even like people who have done anything.
I'm fucking around.
Yeah, I just mean in the.
I literally like I literally. it's fine. Don't worry about
I
it.
have like massive.
going
I
after
have
the
like
devils for
things
fantasy.
I massively disagree with James Rolford in terms of movies, but at the
I
end
mean,
of,
I like, dude. I could disagree with these people. It's
At the
fine. I
end
don't
of the
actually
day-
like. I'm joking around.
I know, but at the end of the day, we do need to give respect that so far Cinemassacre is the one major YouTube channel that's not been involved in some really disturbing controversy.
Yeah, they haven't really. Like the most controversial thing that I know of that they did was they supported that Cheetah Men Kickstarter. They didn't know was a stolen thing, and when they learned it was a stolen thing, they're like, "Oh shit!" and they pulled out from it.
Yeah.
We're sorry.
Yeah. So like, I mean, like that's just a mistake. Like, okay,
There's
fair.
been no like crowdfunding issues. There's been no like sexual assault allegations or anything like that.
Or like, you know, like
Has-
or like
Has
weird
Team
products that they
4-Star
put
been
out.
into any controversy other than them just recently deciding they're not going to do Dragon Ball anymore?
I mean,
I think that's it.
I mean I guess the general controversy of like having the YouTube channel go down like every other week.
That's
You
because
know.
Toei hates them.
Yeah, well, I guess Toei wins. In the
Yeah, I
end.
think literally other than changing their fucking like, you know, like ending Dragon Ball Z Abridged, there's just really isn't really controversial.
I mean, people are mostly okay. I mean, some people are mad, but most people are like, you know, the Boo Saga wouldn't really work the way they abridge things anyway.
I'm
Because-
so like I'm like, so my feelings are kind of I did we no, we didn't talk about it last recording because we already knew it was ending because they were talking about it, they just didn't make it official. So I completely understand, like, because they're like, yeah, we felt burnout, and I completely understand that. Because, I mean, they were doing that for how many years? Boo Saga fucking burned me out of my rewatch to where I've been, like, slowly slogging through it. And it's not, so it's weird that it has, like, some of the more iconic moments of the series, but it's definitely the worst arc in the series.
But some people like, yo, but Vegito though, and like Gotenks and all the transformations, and I'm like, yeah, that's cool in the show. As far as making humor about it, there's not really much, unless they just want them to replay the DBZ fights with the occasional Team 4-Star one-liner, which admittedly
Like, it
seems
was
to be all people like about the show lately. But that's not what the show is supposed to be about.
But yeah, no, I understand. My main thing, and I said this to Trayman, is I'm curious of how well they're going to do without it. Like, don't get me wrong, I wish them luck. I'm not trying to be like, oh, I hope they fucking lose or some shit. But, like, I'm kind of like, what are they gonna do now, exactly? Because a lot of their other... So, like, other than, like, Machina Bridge, their series don't really do too well.
I think they're hoping they
That
get
are-
more professional gigs that, like, they were mostly not getting because their main thing was Dragon Ball, and Toei didn't like them, and anyone doing business with them had to deal with Toei.
Yeah, but Toei's still not going to continue to not like them. So it's not just
Yeah.
ending. It's not just going to flip the magic switch where Toei goes, "Ah, we're fine with these guys now."
Yeah, especially because Japanese companies hold grudges for decades. Like, they will just hold a grudge. By the way, we're beating up Electro and the Vulture right now.
Ah, good.
Apparently
It's
the
actually one of my
reason
favorite
Toei
boss
hates-
fights in the game.
Apparently the reason Toei hates them is because Reggie got so popular that, like, they were getting requests to make the canon characters more like the abridged versions. And they were
They
like,
are-
oh no.
And
They kind of did.
And then they made Super, so they did.
They're even more flanderized in Super, which are supposed to be like parody versions of the characters.
I mean,
That's more about the original Japanese than, like, you know.
they are like that. Like Super makes Goku even more of a dumbass they ever was in Z.
Yeah, they really did. They flanderized the fuck out of him. Like, and now the reason why he got flanderized like that is actually because Toriyama wanted him to go back to how he was in Ball, but, you know, he already had character development, Toriyama. You can't, you should never do that as a writer.
You can't just undo character development. But
No,
anyway,
I mean, you can, but you
You
shouldn't.
can't go back to the past now. You can't, like, you can never recapture our glory. So anyway, though, Evo 2020.
You son of a
baby.
bitch. Marvel, baby!
Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is back for 1 year.
By the way, I love how this... One of the things I love about this boss fight, like, other than the gameplay itself, is I kind of love how the Vulture and, Electro, like, legitimately like each other.
Well, they're back. Well, it's they're flyboys. I like that there's sick bants in this. Yo, Adrian! I must break you.
Oh yeah, this boss fight, like I said, this boss fight is my favorite one. I'm not as big on the Rhino, Scorpion one, to be honest.
Gargan, stop! You're embarrassing yourself.
Now, that one I do like, but because of the bickering, the actual like fight itself, I'm not as into.
But yeah, well, Evo 2020's lineup came out. Melee's gone again. Good. Fuck Melee.
Also, Mortal Kombat's gone now.
Good. Fuck Mortal Kombat.
I mean, I don't disagree with you.
You know who else isn't making the cut? DOA 6.
Was DOA 6 in the last one?
No.
I was gonna say, like, DOA 6
I don't
hasn't
think
been...
they'll let DOA 6 on for
I don't think Dead or Alive's been in a,
for the same reason that they won't let Mika have her default costume on.
Oh, they actually banned that?
Yeah.
I didn't know they actually banned it,
Cowards.
huh? I mean, I agree.
I mean, what, with me or with them?
With you,
Good.
cowards. I mean, I understand it, but I'm still gonna call them cowards.
I mean, Grand Blue Fantasy got in as the, like, weeb game that hasn't come out yet, and we're taking a huge gamble on.
Oh, no, it's out.
I mean, it came out now, but it hadn't come out at the time they announced it.
Yeah. Apparently it's really good, though.
I mean, I'm just saying, is that every year there is a weeb game that has...
There is one of those games, yeah.
There is a weeb... that's also why Cross Tag's not in anymore.
I mean, it makes sense.
I mean, Street Fighter 5's in, but, like...
I mean, Street Fighter 5, I feel like, is in out of, like, fucking, like...
We gotta have Street
tradition
Fighter.
at this point. Because my favorite thing about Street Fighter 5 is the fan base, like, lying to itself. It's like, no, this is actually fine. This game is alright. No, this game is actually fun.
No, I mean, that's why you had to have a... That's why, you know, they had to have fan fix the netcode.
To be fair, that's so the netcode is an issue in Japanese fighting games in general.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them aren't using rollback.
Yeah, they use, Oh, fuck, what's it called?
Yeah, I'm forgetting what it's called.
Yeah, Fighters back, obviously.
I might be getting the names mixed up, but the only games that really use the better netcode are a lot of like indie and American ones, and also the ones done by Code Mystics,
I thought
which are Code Mystics like SNK
Well,
ports.
Under 9 Birth definitely used the better one of the netcodes.
No, it's got decent code, but it is the same kind of style as the it's the delay netcode, just like the other ones.
But yeah, the Sam shows in, or it makes sense, you know.
People really are playing.
There are
it.
still
It's doing well.
6 slots open. There's still, I mean, you know, it's a shame that 6 slots are for Chinese players.
Yeah, we talked about that last
No,
time.
I don't think that's not Evo, but it's still just funny.
Oh yeah, that was a Japan Evo.
Yeah, Soul Calibur 6 in, you know, obvious, makes sense.
Yeah, still played a lot. People like it.
Smash Bros.
So
Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I mean, it was the best fighting game of 2019, so of course it's going to be in.
what was it? The other game. So all those games that came in.
Suck it.
Oh yeah, I was gonna talk about Mortal Kombat. So there is probably a reason someone pointed out as to why Mortal Kombat might have gotten taken out. So a lot of the other games have cross-play with other players. So, and Mortal Kombat specifically had a lot of players that were unique only to Mortal Kombat. So some people think that they might have taken it out to cut down on unique entries. I don't know if that's true, but it's a theory some people had.
I put it down to, of all like the big games, I feel like Mortal Kombat's had like the smallest the smallest like sort of active player base in that regard. Like,
yeah, you don't really hear from it as much as the others, and that includes Street Fighter.
Because also,
even though I made a crack that really pissed off a Street Fighter fan the other day. But you continue first.
Well, I mean, especially because like all the games that are on the list, like Tekken 7, Smash Bros, Street Fighter, have like much more global appeal. Whereas I always feel like Mortal Kombat is much more of like an American game.
Mortal Kombat, yeah, and also Mortal Kombat, let's be blunt, was only survived because of the fatalities in the 90s.
Yeah.
So a lot of its survival now is based purely on nostalgia.
Mm.
But I made a really hot take that pissed off a Street Fighter fan. So people are critiquing the animations in Street Fighter V, and people started using Sakura as a base for this because of how her animations and her posing isn't nearly as good in it as they were in the previous game. And I made a crack where I was just saying, like, yeah, the animations aren't as good, blah blah blah, and the game's not fun. And some Street Fighter fan came in and was like, yeah, but they're still better animated than Mortal Kombat. And I'm like, actually, Street Fighter V is kind of feels like Mortal Kombat to me because the action is really clunky. It's very restrictive on what you can do in combat, and the animations aren't that great. Yeah, actually, they're very similar to each other. And they're like, now you're fucking trolling. And I'm like, why? I'm not trolling. I'm not trolling. I'm telling you the truth.
I mean,
what do you want from me?
I mean,
They want you to lie and validate their choices.
validate Street Fighter 5, like, you know, Capcom
No,
refuses to do.
I'm not gonna validate Street Fighter 5. I'm not gonna validate a piece of shit.
Release Street Fighter 6 already, you cowards.
They're going to eventually.
I mean,
I'm just hoping it's better.
They're waiting for. No, let's be honest. They're waiting for the next consoles before they.
Probably.
Like I feel that's the main reason we've not had anything on Street Fighter 6. It's
And why they've just been like drip feeding characters.
It's PS5, or even is the new Xbox called? I forget. I don't care.
New Xbox is Xbox.
Right.
You forgot about that one, didn't you?
I mean, if I forget, you mean didn't ever care enough to investigate? Sure.
No, I already knew this because people were joking about it online. They called the Xbox the Xbox. The new Xbox the Xbox. It's just the Xbox now.
And so they really want to make it incredibly hard to actually identify what the first Xbox console is, haven't they?
Better take a closer look.
Like,
Yeah.
That's their thing. It's just we can never reveal to people the original crappy console. So we're just gonna confuse it. I swear the next one is gonna be called the Xbox Classic.
Probably. Oh, by the way, our best friend here is here now. He's gonna sting me with hallucinogens, dachshunds.
I remember the Scarecrow sections from Arkham Asylum.
You're not
No,
wrong.
I'm 100% right.
And he wants to torture you,
No, you're right.
which I respect.
Like,
I will say though, these are more fun to go through than the ones in Arkham Asylum.
I mean, it is.
I will say that.
It is sort of a trend that, I mean, yeah, it's one of those things. It's like trends in media that you just always notice. Like, you remember we were in the period of the sad dad.
Whoa.
Yeah,
To make a character.
we're still in that period.
Yeah, it's becoming less and less prominent now.
This can't
No, Last of Us 2 is still happening.
Last of Us 2 is about lesbians. That's a different trend.
No, a lesbian and her second dead
I
girlfriend.
thought Sad Dad was dead. I thought Sad Dad was just barely in it. And I can't.
Apparently, I heard he plays a bigger role.
Oh, man, I fucking hope they can. They just make him a villain randomly. Like, I hope we go that dumb. Oh, a Birds of Prey bomb, which I'm not really surprised about.
So, what's funny? So actually, there is some funny stuff about that. So, I'll explain. I'll say why I think it did, and but what I think is really funny was some people got really fucking mad about it bombing, and were blaming the fucking Sonic the Hedgehog movie.
Okay.
Oh yeah, well yeah, it's because people are like, well, once Sonic comes out, nobody's gonna care.
No, not being funny, the people who are going to go and see the Sonic the Hedgehog movie are not the people who are going to go and see a Birds of Prey movie.
Yeah, exactly! That's why it's so fucking funny to me!
You want to know the reason why You really want to know, like, why Birds of Prey's bombing? It's not actually that complicated a reason. It's because it's come out in a really awkward time. Like, you know, we've always had the fuck you, it's January thing. And it's coming out, like, real early February, which, considering most of what comes out in February as well isn't great, it's like, yeah, it's just not a good month for people going to the theater.
But also the thing is, I feel like too, like jokes aside, and like, you know, people that were trying to say like, oh, it's because, you know, trying to turn it like a culture war thing, but like what really I think it is is I do feel like it is definitely finally happening.
The superhero fatigue.
Yeah.
Well, I think even beyond that, it's also the like your core audience for a Birds of Prey movie is ultimately people who know roughly who the Birds of Prey are, right? And like you look at this, and I still haven't seen Suicide Squad, so
Not only that, but like,
So
here's the one thing I gotta make a critique on. Harley Quinn hasn't looked like Harley Quinn in years. So like to a casual audience, you're like, wait, where's Harley
well,
Quinn?
that's what I was
Which is
driving at, is that, and I find it odd that they can't even it's one thing to not do like the full sort of headgear and makeup, but it's like, could you really not just even get the color scheme, like the red and black? Like, I feel like
a lot of them haven't even been doing that in a while. Like, what's really so I made a crack about this the other day. Harley has not looked like Harley Quinn since Arkham Asylum. Now, I'm gonna be fair. Arkham Asylum had a reason for why they had her do that. Because the whole like she's getting into the gimmick of like a nurse in the hospital. Haha. There was a reason for it. But like every other one that's done it, it's just been like, let's make her put her in other gear that shows more skin because it's hot.
But the interface allowed me to.
so. I don't know. I just feel like it's.
And listen, none of us here have a problem with just fan service. It's just weak.
I mean,
what they've
I don't know.
done, you know?
Harley Quinn's always slightly bothered me whenever it's like, oh, look sexualized her. It's like, she is a mass murdering psychopath to be. It's like,
Yeah.
you could like, she could be naked and I'm still gonna be like, yeah, I ain't touching that.
I mean,
lately
that's
they
because
keep,
you and
they
I.
keep trying to reinvent her as like just this victim of domestic abuse, and it's all the Joker's
So
fault.
here's what's. Okay, so what's happened with her? It's kind of they've kind of like touched on it even back in the old days of the Batman animated series, and what's happening to her is the whole thing where if you take the Joker out of the equation or you move her away from the Joker, she becomes a better person. So the seeds were there early on, but a lot of things are leaning into it due to her popularity. So what we're getting right now is similar to what was going on with Venom back in the 90s. The lethal protector phase.
Yes.
We're getting that, but with Harley now, basically.
I don't know. As I said, you look at Birds of Prey.
So like I do enjoy like the stories where she gets better. Like one of the things I think we said, like Injustice Harley is actually like one of the better parts of that game. But like the writing in general is shit. But Harley was well done though. She came out the best of all the characters.
Oh no, I think
Fucking
Brainiac came out.
train
I
wreck.
feel like Brainiac came out the best.
Oh, Brainiac was Brainiac.
'Cause
Actually, yeah.
He's basically just He's basically just Brainiac.
He's just Brainiac.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was just Brainiac.
Brainiac, but played by Jeffrey Combs. Do you know how long I've wanted that? And I didn't even know I wanted that until I saw it.
Yeah, like you're all right. Brainiac and Harley were like the best two parts of that game.
But
But
I don't know. Like I feel part of the problem, and no one actually addresses this, is that you look at the Birds of Prey, like you just look at that sort of even at the first promo, it's like you can't tell who they are. Like, and I accept.
yeah, they don't really look like
and
themselves.
I accept that like Black Canary and Huntress and.
Now Harley, like I got right away because mainly just because I followed enough to where like now it's just a blonde with pigtails.
Yeah.
In weird gear, so like it did. So like I picked up on her real quick, but like I couldn't pin together Black Canary or Huntress, and let me tell you, I'm a big fan of Black Canary. So if I can't pin her down in terms of who she is when you show me your characters, you might have fucked up.
The sad thing is, I was talking to somebody who actually did see the movie, and he's like Black Canary looks nothing like Black Canary, because they still channeled her much better than Arrow ever did.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I heard it's actually a pretty decent film though.
Yeah, but that's because they
That's
didn't
what I've
kill her 3 times.
But yeah, I did hear that the movie is pretty good. So like at some point I do want to see it, but like what I'm trying to do here is objectively piece together what led to it fall.
Yeah, I'm not commenting on the film's quality. It's like how,
Yeah, none of us are. This
like
is more for the
actually.
train. This is more for the audience, not for us. This is just so it's like none of us have seen it. We've heard good things. Some of us want to see it. Some of us don't. We're not critiquing the movie itself.
It's like how I've never actually said Suicide Squad is a bad movie because I've never seen it.
But is it a good character piece though?
I don't know, but
It's not. I'll tell you right
Bullshit.
now. I did see
not.
the movie. It's not.
It's a train wreck.
I mean
And I
everything.
thought And
I
I
mean-
even thought it was okay, but I was like, it's not a good character piece. Sam, you're
Every
wrong.
time, every time I say that quote to someone, and I see either the look in their eye or the disgust in their voice, and that kind of just tells me more than anything anyone actually ever could about the movie. Whatever, I'm just like, by the way, my friend Sam says it's a great character piece, and then I don't even really listen to the responses because it's like I have no frame of reference for what anything they're saying is. It's like, yes, I know who the Suicide Squad are. Yes, I like I like the Suicide Squad sometimes. They get overdone. Especially when it's like you're trying to make Deadshot into a good guy. It's like, he's a fucking asshole. He just shoots people. But I have a sick daughter, makes it okay to do bad stuff. That's
Pretty
Deadshot.
much.
Right there. That's Deadshot.
Honestly, the animated ones were better, and I don't even like those.
I mean, nah, the best Suicide Squad is the one when they're on Justice League Unlimited. They can't be called the Suicide Squad.
Oh yeah, you're right. I remember that.
X.
Yeah, they're just Task Force X, which includes good old Captain Boomerang.
I love Captain Boomerang so much.
It's a shame.
I got
it's a
to
shame
inform,
He was never on the Flash TV show, though, right?
I got to talk to one of my coworkers. I know, right?
he was
I got
on
to talk to
Arrow
one of my
instead.
coworkers.
He was on Arrow, yeah, not on Flash though. Fuck you.
So one of my coworkers, he's younger, but he's into comic books a bit. So I've been having fun telling him like just shit in comic books. Like he's casual enough to where I was able to explain to him Guy Gardner, and I might have made a new Guy Gardner fan.
Hooray. We need more.
I know, right? Because I was like, oh, let me tell you about Guy Gardner. He's like, have you heard of him? He's like, no. And I was like, all right. So you know the Green Lanterns? Yeah, I know the Green Lanterns. Okay, so imagine a Green Lantern, and you know how usually they make constructs of like complicated weapons and guns and shit like that. Yeah. Okay, Guy Gardner just makes fists and punches people. He's like, I love him already.
Imagine you had an ass.
And I told him about the time he beat up Sinestro.
Imagine you had.
without
I
a ring.
described it as imagine an asshole Green Lantern, right? But he's
But he's what?
maniac. An asshole Green Lantern. No. Right, how
Oh my god, he keeps cutting out.
Oh no. Hello.
So an asshole Green Lantern.
Hello. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Lantern, who's not a genocidal maniac.
Correct.
That's how you define Guy Gardner.
But
I'll never let Hal Jordan live down in World Twilight. Never.
What about Flashpoint? Will you let Barry live that down?
Never.
I mean,
So the
nobody
good
will.
good
because
things
that's
about
all he has
him.
going for him.
He has two things.
so the
he
good-
dies and he goes back in time and ruins everything.
So the good things about him, I've turned him into a fan of that. He also is aware that Carol Danvers is a fascist.
Fascist bitch. Which I guess the movie's got right.
He's in my camp of Miss Marvel, the current one being good.
He has.
And I told him my joke. Huh?
Yes, that's.
Well, the downside though is he does not like Spider-Verse at all.
The movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like the storyline, but I like the movie.
I was talking about the movie. Yeah,
I
he
think
doesn't like the.
I feel the Spider-Verse
Oh shit! I
storyline.
walked off and killed myself.
I feel the Spider-Verse storyline itself is real fucking hackneyed and dull. And it's like it's once again that problem I have of making a character who doesn't belong there, like into this grand, like, oh yeah, the multiverse that hinges on Spider-Man. It's like Spider-Man's a fucking dumbass.
Okay, he keeps cutting out. Let's change the server, because he's just cutting out a lot. Let me,
Is that better now?
I'm gonna switch it to Europe.
Rope. Oh no.
Is it better?
There we
Is
go.
it better now?
We'll find out.
I was just
Find
saying,
out
it's
if
like,
you don't keep- I thought your rage was just like causing you to short out the system.
I was just saying, I dislike Spider-Verse because it puts this level of grandiose like spectacle on Spider-Man that he just doesn't need. Because it's like, oh, he's like a central part of the entire multiverse's structure, and it's like he's not. He's a fucking idiot from Queens. That's why I love it.
But yeah, we were talking about the movie specifically,
Yeah.
not the. But yeah, no, I agree with that. I like Spider-Man having smaller stories. I'm fine and like the idea of like alternate universes with him, but hinging on Spider-Man, that's just kind of meh.
It's like when you make Batman like too important in Justice League, because then it's like he's
You mean like they did in Justice League Unlimited?
yes. No, the one thing I've always hate there's one moment I always fucking hate about Batman in Justice League Unlimited, the series. And that is specifically the point where the Justice League unanimously decide to send Doomsday to the Phantom Zone, and he just takes the moral high ground. It's like, who gives you the right to judge. It's like, Doomsday's a fucking force of nature who cannot be stopped, who cannot be contained. It's like, the Phantom Zone is literally the only place that is safe to keep him, because he will kill everyone, because he's as strong as Superman is, you fuckwit.
And mindless, basically mindless.
I always hate I guess there's one other one I hate, and it's specifically when he like gets pissy that Superman is saying we shouldn't help Darkseid. Fuck him. Fuck Apocalypse. No balls to that. And he's like, oh, are you upset because he controls you? It's like, yes. Why weren't you helping when the whole Apocalypse invasion happened? Twice. You prick. Just go back and cower in your fucking cave. Again, it's like, as I said, it just irks me, and I know why, because they didn't want to like detract from those storylines by having Batman show up. But it's still the case that there's no justifiable reason why the character.
When he's talking like that,
when he's taking the moral fucking high ground, it's like you have no clue what Darkseid is like, what he is capable of, and look,
not only that, but the
Superman was right.
I want to point out, remember the episode of Batman where he was not trusting of Penguin, who was actually trying to reform, and arguably is one of the factors that helped lead to him going back. I mean, that wasn't the biggest trigger, but it definitely helped.
Yeah, like, he doesn't trust him one bit, and it's just like the whole, but, you know, Darkseid, like, you can trust that guy, and it's like, and Superman was 100% right. It was all a play by Darkseid, because it's always a play by Darkseid. That's why he's so great.
Wow, I just noticed Spider-Man, when he's in the underwear, he's packing down there.
I mean,
Woohoo!
So what you're saying is they should kill Darkseid.
I mean, probably.
Honestly,
It's a good idea. He is the god of death and misery.
Well, I mean, like, when you destroy him, I think you destroy his fucking body avatar.
I mean, he's a comic book character. You can't ever kill him, really.
Yeah.
He just comes back. They all come back.
Nobody's ever really gone.
Exactly, except Uncle Ben.
No, they'll just bring him back, but they'll just name him Tony Stark.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's like, it's just, those are the two moments in Justice League that I always fucking dislike Batman for specifically, because it's like, it's just making him take the moral high ground when he's just a cunt. It kind of says a lot when my favorite moment of Batman is precisely when he doesn't know that Booster Gold's a cool guy and he just shits on him.
Because they allowed Batman to be flawed.
Yeah, it's the one moment where he gets to actually be wrong. Everything else, it's like he is obnoxiously right, and it's like or everything treats him as right when he's not, and it's like I hate that in a character when, like, I don't have a problem with people being right. I hate when they are wrong, but the world still acts as if they are right.
Right. No, I hate that too. And that happens a lot with Batman in general.
It happens a lot with Stark now as well. Partially why.
Yeah, it happens with Stark too, you're right.
It used to be that Stark was the one who was always wrong because he's a drunk asshole and nobody really liked him. But
ever since his popularity with the fucking movies, like, skyrocketed him, he's fallen into that same kind of trap that Batman falls into.
Was the problem of, like, specifically Iron Man was always good, always meant to be this sort of like weird, flawed character who was the kind of rogue of the Marvel universe in that sense. And then when he's like suddenly propelled into being the face of your like multi-billion-dollar franchise, it's like, well, you need to gentrify him because he can't just be the guy who got drunk and maybe killed someone.
Right.
Or that guy who got so pissed that his technology got stolen, he went on a fucking massacre of all people who stole his tech.
Something wrong?
Oh, no.
Yeah, let's not
insane.
forget Armor Wars. That happened.
My daughter from those muggers.
Also, actually, looking at now you mention it, like, the thing about the characters, Stark in general has always been like an incredibly selfish character. He's done good things, like his identity got revealed because he wanted to save a puppy. But like,
he's always been.
I want to point out, like, his technology he hoards for himself versus, say, like Hank Pym, who, despite his problems.
But, well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is ultimately Stark has always been a flawed character, and this was by design. Like, this is and there is merit, and there's obviously merit to that. Like,
Like I said, Tony Stark before what they ended up turning him into, he wasn't my favorite. I'm not gonna pretend like, oh, I was a big Stark fan. I just
Still
was
alive.
okay with him.
Yeah.
So whoever did this isn't
And,
a
like,
lethal
over
person.
time, I just grew to
promising.
fucking hate him.
Because he did.
Because,
It's the-
I mean, aside from
Sorry, I
it
missed
not
the
being,
action.
aside from turning him into
Thanks for
always
keeping us
being
safe,
right,
Spider-Man.
they basically shot the,
Already?
like, other characters in the foot, or took things from those characters
on
to
my way
make Tony
now.
Stark better.
Way was it again?
And no, I'm not even just pointing at Spider-Man here, just in general, they did this.
Yeah.
Thanks. Got a little
Like, a
turnaround.
lot of storylines from those movies are taken from other characters.
I mean, I largely
Uh,
suspect why one of the reasons I think why they made Thor and Hulk like shit in Endgame is specifically so that there was more justification for Cap and Iron Man to do stuff.
Right.
Because otherwise, like those two at full power, it's like, yeah, I know they lost to Thanos, but they really should have kicked the shit out of him. Thanos is a
No, because they
bit of a
wanted to.
chump.
No, because they wanted to show Captain Marvel kicking the shit out of him.
Yeah, but then she gets punched in the face, and all's good.
I'm gonna say like no. I'm gonna say nobody really succeeded in beating up Thanos.
I mean,
Not even
Thanos.
Captain or Iron Man.
Thanos ain't Darkseid. He's kind of a chump. It's just that Thanos.
He's dollar store. He's dollar store.
Well, he is.
Darkseid.
He was literally designed.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Jack Kirby, after he quit Marvel, made all these like sick new gods. Who's like created one of Superman's like sort of most iconic villain, or at least most sort of interesting villains. And they were like, "We want in on that. We're gonna rob from Jack Kirby again. We've been doing it for so many years. Why stop now?"
Why stop just because he's not in the office?
Yeah. It's like how Bob Kane spent most of his life shitting on Bill Finger.
Yeah.
Well, that was a massive deal where like had to go and like when they had to go and like change like a whole bunch of credits on Batman stuff to put Bill Finger's credits back in, because Bob Kane effectively tried to shut him out for years, even though he was like instrumental in making Batman. It was like
Dude,
very.
I literally made this.
It was very similar to what happened with Kirby and Stan Lee, but the Kirby Stan Lee thing was a lot more well known.
Yeah.
And also, I guess because Jack Kirby went on to have like he continued to have a successful career after it. I really wish, sort of speaking of Jack Kirby and like DCAU, is that when the final episode, the episode of the second part of Apocalypse Now, where Dan Turpin dies and have his funeral. I
Yeah.
really wish. So in the original version, they actually have Marvel characters cameo because Dan Turpin's design is based on Jack Kirby.
Oh
And
yeah,
it's-
yeah. I remember that. They
Yeah.
they hid them in the background.
No, they're not that in the background. They're quite prominent in the shot. The problem, and that's sort of the problem, is that
Pretty
Warner
standard.
Brothers has
Easy to track.
decided for every sort of subsequent re-release to edit them out or change them, and it's like, I mean, you could have left it. It's still a tribute to It's a tribute to one of comic books greats. And,
I think the problem is Disney.
well, no, but this was before.
No, this was long before Disney.
This was yeah. This was long.
This was like the next year during reruns. Like they had already changed it in 1999.
Oh, okay.
And it's like you could have just left it because it's like, yes, I know you can argue, oh, it's giving like, it's giving free advertising to our opponents, but it's like people who recognize those characters in the graveyard scene are already aware of who those characters are.
Not only that, like if I saw it like as a kid, I probably saw it as a kid when they first aired it, and I probably didn't know who they were because I was like really fucking young, like maybe 10 at
That's
most.
the point. If you don't know who they are already, then it doesn't register to you. It only registers for people who do know, who can appreciate the, oh yeah, this is basically a funeral for Jack Kirby. So,
I remember they because there was a couple things that they hid in there in that episode, like Sawyer's girlfriend. They show her in the hospital with her, but they don't
that-
explicitly
yeah,
say
they're
that's
not-
her
They
girlfriend.
don't admit that it's like
painkillers for a few days.
they don't ever say like, oh yeah, she's a lesbian, because obviously
It's the 90s. They were not going to be allowed to do that on a kids show in the 90s.
Oh, things
I'm
have
not saying that's
changed.
a good thing, because it's not. But back then, they were not going to be allowed to do
And
that.
he left the drugs.
yeah, I always think it's a
Seems like
massive
his
sort of
intentions
dick
are
move
good,
that they didn't
but his
have
methods are nuts. The police will handle the
that they didn't like keep it, just
Fighting
because
will
it's
go on the
like,
other fire escape.
as I said, at the end of the day, it is ultimately a tribute to this who deserves a lot.
I mean, it's just a name, so...
Yeah, I mean, this is weird.
I mean, like, look how fucking close Supergirl and Carol's names are.
Nobody talks like that.
Wow.
Yeah, right.
Kara
This
Danvers,
is-
Carol Danvers.
yeah.
Whoa, hey guys, I'm not the real.
We've joked about it before. That's why I just wanted to briefly just say it real quick because I know we've joked about it in a recording before.
I mean, I think we went for a fairly long instance of looking through how many things were ripped off by either company.
yeah. I think we actually did that at the start of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And to be fair, wasn't Supergirl curled Linda Lee for like years and years and years?
I mean,
Yeah.
there were a lot.
Named her like recently.
Though Kara was her part of her Kryptonian name.
Well, she's always been, as far as I'm aware, Kara Zor-El.
Yeah, but like.
Yeah, Kara Zor-El has always been a thing.
for
Kara
most of
just
the time,
became part of her
civilian-
identity
her
name
civilian
later.
Identity was Linda Lee, and then like they changed it when they finally brought her back after having her dead for 20 years because there can only be one Kryptonian. Something. Crisis.
Last son of Krypton, last son of Krypton.
Yeah, we all know. Thanks, Crisis on Infinite Earths. I mean, to be fair, they stuck to their guns for the longest time on that.
They stuck to it longer than New 52 stuck to its guns.
I mean, stuck to its guns longer than any of like fucking Marvel's big changes have ever stuck.
If you want to help your community, there's a feast shelter
That's
nearby.
true.
I'm trying to think what has been the biggest change that Marvel was stuck with that's lasted the longest. I almost want to say Ben Reilly's run as Spider-Man. I feel like that lasted
Maybe, yeah, because they kept that for a
that was
while.
a couple years at least.
I think Ben Riley's now like dead, isn't he?
No, he got resurrected.
Oh, okay.
Of course he did.
Everyone comes back, man.
Yeah, we mentioned this earlier. I just couldn't remember if they brought him back now or not.
I think
couldn't
they
remember.
did because I think there was a storyline with him and Kane, who's the. I'll be honest, like I hated Kane back in the '90s when the Clone Saga started. I really like Kane.
You really like what? Hold on, you cut out.
I really like Kane as the Scarlet Spider.
Yeah.
It's like I mean, I hated him in the '90s because he was the fucking worst, but he has a cool suit. He's a bit of an asshole. Like as much as I sort of dislike having multiple Spider-themed superheroes running around.
Yeah,
But-
we know your hatred for them is well
I wouldn't say
documented.
hate. I just don't want them to exist. You know,
It's hatred.
it's like
He
there are.
it's cutting out so much because even the internet
There
knows.
can only be two. I feel.
Your heart's in the
Spider-Man
right
and
place,
Venom.
but if you keep this up, you're gonna get killed.
Yeah, I see.
All right, I've tried adjusting something, seeing if that helps it a bit.
Spider-Man, no more.
But
Good call. Besides,
Yeah,
you don't
I'm.
need a
but I
costume to
don't
make a
know. It doesn't really bother me. But we've talked about this before. And
Yeah. But I'm just trying to think because obviously they had other things
I need to
like,
get after Scorpion, but
man, Superior Spider-Man. That was gonna be Spider-Man, guys, for
I can
real.
afford a quick pit stop at Feast.
Yeah.
They stuck to that for like was it like half a year?
Yeah, something like that. They stuck to.
I
it
mean, even when that happened, I knew they
They
were.
stuck to it just long enough for another Spider-Man movie to come out, so then they could go, "Oh no, but Spider-Man is Peter Parker's back." Haha! You fool!
Yeah,
You thought that we were sabotaging the character, but in fact, it was all an attempt to make you believe, to make you like the character again. It's like, but you're not telling us anything by just having Dr. Octopus go, "Man, Spider-Man is a cool guy." It's like you're not telling people that. You can just have him be a cool guy.
No, you need other things to show that how Spider-Man's a cool guy. That's why you need to attach him to characters like Tony Stark, because people don't know who
And you
Spider-Man
could-
is. He's an incredibly obscure character. No one knows.
And I
who
mean,
he
that
is.
kind
Know
of
who he is? They just don't think he's a very cool guy.
Okay to give up on a friend.
What?
That's because he's not a freewheeling bachelor anymore. Joe Quesada knew. We need to one more day again.
Yeah, understandable
He
though.
doesn't even have a marriage to sell this time, but we'll find one.
The generous part of me wants to
Mephisto,
No.
can I sell you Rhea Richards and Sue Storm's marriage?
with what Otto's done.
I hate Joe Quesada so much.
You have to decide
The things that
if
he did to Marvel,
still in there or not.
Oh,
like,
that's
really hurt those books for that like they're still dealing with Joe Quesada's bullshit.
wow. I mean, we say this as if they're not.
And their own in the new bullshit that's come up too, but you know what
Because
I
like
mean.
What Joe Quesada did could have been fixed like six different ways. I mean, fuck, man, they literally had a Skrull invasion storyline like almost immediately after Civil War, and it's like.
Yeah, but Joe Quesada was still in charge.
Yeah, I know,
then.
but it's like, man, the amount of things you could have just fixed if you just.
Yeah, because Joe Quesada didn't want it to
Tony
be fixed.
Stark is a Skrull. That would have solved like a whole bunch of problems.
Yeah, but Joe Quesada didn't want to fix any of it. He loved it all.
Yeah.
All that shit that they did, he loved it.
He's dead now.
You could argue that they could have fixed it, you know, a few years ago after he left, but they didn't.
I mean, that's what.
They fixed some stuff. They fixed other stuff. They just kind of stuck with, like the weird shit with Spider-Man that he did, and X-Men just because Disney owns them, and they were weird with the X-Men because of that.
I mean, comics only exist now to fuel movies, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, especially considering the guy who does the movies is now like in charge of both divisions. So, but by the way, because I saw it the other day, I still really don't like what they end up doing with She-Hulk in the comics. Like, I still really don't
where
like
they turned her into Hulk but with tits.
Yeah, they literally turned her into that. So like some people are like, oh, you don't like it because she's big and swole. I'm like, that doesn't bother me in the slightest.
No, I don't like it because it's not
My problem is
She-Hulk.
they took her they took her character and then threw it out the window.
My problem is that they.
If she had like a hulked up form where she just got buffer, but it was still her, I wouldn't give a shit.
Yeah, but it's like, but that's my problem. Is essentially you just took the whole Bruce Banner Hulk dynamic and then you just planted it onto Jennifer when she already has her own established like character and personality and her place in the world. And it's like you're not adding anything to She-Hulk by doing this to her, and you're not improving.
You're like subtracting.
And you're not
her.
improving Hulk by doing. You're not improving the Hulk like overall mythology or whatever by doing it either. Like
You're only diluting it.
yeah, you're just sort of ruining what is probably Marvel's like best standalone female superhero.
Because even though
competition
she is like
nothing, but
yeah, there's not a whole
she's
lot.
fucking great.
Like, when it's Marvel, the best female characters are typically the characters in teams, because Marvel's better at teams than they are at standalone heroes. Spider-Man being one of the rare exceptions, and same thing with
Well, I
She-Hulk.
think one of the main differences is that Marvel had its big sort of surge of characters in the 60s when it was established company, whereas DC obviously was like a whole bunch of smaller comic book companies that all got sort of merged into one conglomerate. So they had like all of these, and I said I think I said before, like characters who essentially were created to compete with one another, all under their belt now. So it had a lot of standalone titles all ready to go, like, you know,
Right.
Batman's...
Man, what do we go with, Flash or the Wizard?
Well, no, Wizard was Marvel.
Oh, was it? Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wizard is Marvel. That's where you get the mongoose.
Yeah. I mean, I even told you that I only know about the Wizard because he appears in this fucking 90s Spider-Man cartoon. In one of those
Who was the other one that was the DC one?
Other Speedster that was DC.
Yeah, I'm
Fuck,
sure there's got to be at least one.
Oh, I mean, there's millions of fucking Speedsters in DC.
It will literally be here
I like
all day.
how I once saw a quiz. I once saw a thing that was like, "Oh, who would win out of all these fictional speedsters?" And it's like, why do you even ask these stupid questions? It's gonna be the Flash.
The Flash is broken.
Like, the Flash could do anything.
The Flash is literally broken. Like, a lot of comic book writers honestly say that, like, the Flash is the hardest person to write for because of how much he can do. Like, people say, like, oh, Superman's gotta be the hardest one. No, Flash! Oh god, I forgot how annoying these fucking jetpack motherfuckers are with their fucking,
powers lately.
Well, that's because a lot of that comes from the Silver Age, where everything was sort of fly by the seat of pants. Who gives a shit, right? Where it's like, yeah, we'll just have a comic book. We'll just have like the cover be Superman using his heat vision to eradicate Jimmy Olsen, the smoking jacket Jimmy Olsen got for Father's Day, and we'll have to build a story around that later. Like that's the sort of problem with the Silver Age, is it's all just silly, wacky shit. And that's sort of one of the benefits of Crisis, is it did streamline things for better or worse.
Well, also too, before Crisis, there was literally 2 continuities at that point: Earth 1 and Earth 2. Because for those in the audience, Power Girl was the Supergirl of Earth 2,
Well,
and also basically the adopted daughter of Clark and Lois.
A lot of what happened. So the idea was that Earth 2 was actually meant to be the Golden Age universe. This was where this is where like characters like Jay Garrick and appeared, and like it was essentially like. So, like, the Superman of Earth 2 was older than the Superman of Earth 1, and same with, like, that's why Power Girl is, physically more mature than Supergirl.
Yeah, because she's like, I think in those books she was, like, young adult. She was taken care of by, like Lois and Clark, like I mentioned, because she was basically their adopted daughter.
What's up? You okay?
When they found her.
Coming through Oscorp.
So I think she was, like, college age, basically, where Supergirl was typically portrayed as being, like, around 15, 16.
Yeah. 10-hour odyssey for burnt toast with cold American cheese.
So,
How could I forget?
my main thing with Earth 2 was it was a few years in.
Where, like, nowadays, like, Power Girl's, like, 26, 28, Supergirl's, like, 19, typically.
The whole point of Earth 2 was it was meant to be, this is what happens, the golden age of superheroes, or the golden age of comic books, which, is, like, basically anything from, like, the 30s and 40s, essentially.
Yeah. This adult thing is rough. But I guess
So, yeah, and then a whole bunch of characters from, and this, Earth 2 is also where Huntress comes from.
safety. Kind of
Yeah.
a
Original.
life
Because
thing.
Huntress and Power Girl were, like, besties. She was also, a Catwoman and, Bruce Wayne's
Yeah,
daughter.
until they,
Biological daughter.
until they were, wanna...
Change that.
Well, they replaced her with Helena Bertinelli, who's the one who is actually the Huntress that featured in the Justice League Unlimited, which she's a mob daughter.
She's the Huntress that most of you guys know. Like, people listening to this, if you know the Huntress, the one you know is Helen.
Yeah. Or Helena Bertinelli, she's the mob daughter, because they're both called
Yeah,
Helena.
you know the mob daughter. If you know, most likely the one you know is the mob daughter. You probably don't know the one we just mentioned.
Yeah, Helena Wayne. Especially because now we have a brand new Wayne. I mean, I say brand new as if he hasn't been around for years, but
We have a new person that like they keep trying to make us like, but
he's just the
he
worst.
sucks.
He's
sucks.
somehow worse than he's a more Jason Todd.
I fucking don't like him at all. Like, even going at, like, and looking at old Jason Todd stuff, Jason Todd is just okay. I don't like him either, but he's not as bad as Damian.
I mean,
Damian literally should be in fucking, he should be in, I'm forgetting the name of the
Arkham.
not Arkham, the one that's like the actual prison.
oh, Blackgate.
Blackgate. Like, he should be in Blackgate.
I mean, he's a prick, and he's the grandson of Ra's al Ghul and a rape baby. We always forget that he is born by.
Yeah, he's a rape baby. Remember, Bruce Wayne
He
was
was
raped.
raped. We don't have to address this. Talia al Ghul is a dirty rapist.
She is.
Ra's should be ashamed. Ra's should be so ashamed he needs to put on his Arrow cosplay.
Oh my god. Don't do this to me. I got blinded by a grenade because of you.
And I got blinded by seeing Ra's al Ghul dressed up like Green Arrow.
Nobody will know.
God, I fucking love that Mirror Crew is so bad. It lets like shit like his shitty Green Arrow cosplay get away with it. Because it's like I'm always gonna default back to the fucking racism. Because obviously I will. No one can. You know what? No one can ever convince me that Barry Allen did not have a vial of mongoose blood on his shelf when he was struck by lightning.
I mean, that's how he got it. Come on, we already know this.
I explained this to a friend, and he's like, I can't actually prove he didn't, but that's just dumb. And it's like, yes.
Yeah,
but
it's
I'm
also
right.
a comic book.
Why are you
Clearly
booing
had
me? I'm
Mongoose
right.
blood.
That's what they
Well,
should
I
have
think
done
this-
when he lost his speed that one time. We're like, well, just put in some mongoose blood, you'll be fine.
Well, I think this is a good place to stop.
Mm.
Hope you guys enjoyed Spider-Man featuring
This
Mongoose
is
blood.
probably the most on-topic episode of this we've ever recorded, to be fair.
Probably since like the first episode. Because the first episode we talked a lot about Spider-Man comics and the old ones because you were rereading a bunch of
Yeah.
them, and then for like 4 episodes we were talking about Smallville.
Well,
I
I
have to point out, you've also been playing this
And
game
for like
3
and for,
months.
for yeah, and for like 1 episode we were talking about like Star Wars. Oh, real quick, I almost forgot to mention. We saw Kefla's in the game, and I'm excited for her.
I was gonna say that made it almost sound like Kefla was in Battlefront 2 or something. I was like,
yeah, Kefla's in Battlefront, Star Wars Battlefront 2.
That would actually be an interesting thing Star Wars could do if they introduced the Saiyans.
Like, could you imagine, like, you just see, like, it's like a Star Wars trailer, and then all of a sudden, like, a giant key blast just nukes a fucking destroyer, and then it just zooms in, there's Kefla.
I could see it.
You know what? I'd play that. Anyway, guys, you guys have a good, take care, you have a good day. That's it. Bye.